Hi guys, it's Ashraf from WiZ.edu, and today we're going to be going through the first type of question you could get in trigonometry, which are coordinate type questions. So what exactly does a coordinate type question entail? Well, it entails using a coordinate to find the value of a trigonometric expression, right? So what do these questions look like? Well, for example, you are given a question which states m is a point 5, 6, so this is our coordinate there, and n lies on the x-axis, and MON is alpha, which is the angle in this case, at the origin. Determine the value of sine theta. So this is our trigonometric function. So we're given our coordinates 5 and 6 and asked to determine the value of a trig expression, which is in this case is sine alpha. So what method would you use to go about solving a question such as this? Well, your first step is going to be to plot the coordinates on a graph. Then step 2 would be to construct your triangle, and step 3 would be to use Pythagoras to find your missing variable. In this case, the missing variable is r, because if you're given a coordinate, it's always going to be in the form x, y. So you can use Pythagoras to find r, right? And then your fourth step is going to solve the question by inserting x, y, and r into the required trig ratio. So let's try a quick example of this using the question we saw before. So let's just recap this question. We are told that m is a point 5 and 6 and n lies on the x-axis. So let's just sketch this on a set of axes. We'll draw x and y planes like so. And this is our x plane, that's our y plane. And we know that in trig, our 0 starts there, then we go to 90, 180, etc. But we only need the first quadrant in this case because we know that the point 5 and 6 is going to lie somewhere around there in the first quadrant. So we'll start by drawing our triangle here. There we go. We know that 5 is our x variable, so it'll correspond to this bit of the triangle here. And this is our y bit there, so that will be 6. And we are told that this point here, 5 and 6, is m, and n lies on the x-axis. So this bit over here is going to be n, and our origin is O, because they tell us that alpha forms the angle MON at the origin, right? So we've completed steps 1 and 2. We've plotted our coordinates on the graph, and we've constructed our triangle. So step 3 tells us to find r, or our missing variable, using Pythagoras. So from Pythagoras, we know that x squared plus y squared equals r squared. That's Pythagoras, right? So we can substitute x and y in. So that'll be 5 squared plus 6 squared equals r squared. So 25 plus 36 will give us r squared. And that's going to be added together, will give us 61 equals r squared. But obviously we're looking for r, not r squared. So we have to square root both sides to get rid of that exponent. So r will be equal to root 61. So now we've completed step 3. Now the final step is to solve the equation, or the question rather, by inserting x, y, and r into the required trig ratios. So question number 1 is to find the value of sine alpha, right? So we know this is alpha over here, and we know that for that angle alpha, x is 5, y is 6, and r we've calculated to be root 61. Okay, so we can just say that sine alpha is equal to y over r, and we get y over r from our trig ratios, and we can simply substitute in the values we've calculated, y being 6 and r being root 61, and this would be your answer. But if you're a bit more pedantic, you could rationalize your denominator by multiplying by root 61 over root 61. It's not required, but it's something I like to do. So your final answer would be 6 times root 61 over 61. For the second bit of our question, we are asked to find the value of sine squared alpha plus cos squared alpha. So we can go ahead and do exactly the same thing. We can write out our trig ratios. So sine squared alpha plus cos squared alpha. We know the definition of sine is y over r. In this case, it's squared because we have a square, and cos is x over r all squared. And we can substitute our values in, y being 6 r being root 61, and x we know is 5, and r is again root 61, and that's going to give us 36 over 61 plus 25 over 61, which is 61 over 61, which is 1. Now, before you even attempted to do what I've done here, you should have recognized that from the Pythagorean identity, sine squared alpha plus cos squared alpha is already equal to 1. You didn't have to do all this hard work to go and prove it. You could have just said your answer would be 1, but obviously if you were required to prove that, you'd have to do what I've just done. But if you saw this in any other circumstance, you could have just replaced sine squared plus cos squared with 1, as long as the angles are the same. Thanks for watching, guys. Please be sure to check out the next video, which will go through more examples on coordinate type questions.